Natalie's having a parenting crisis. Have you ever heard of a parenting crisis before? Well, you're about to hear what a parenting crisis. I've had one, I feel like my whole life, but it's fun. I've had one for a very long time. And
you definitely had one mid last year.
I did.
It was emotional. It was hard. It was a lot. I mean, and then you've had a different one this year. But, I think, it's really funny. I think if you think about, I wonder if you were to go back and think about the kind of high school student a parent was and the kind of parent they are, I wonder if they would be correlated. So, you know how you always say, like, I'm the mom who's always relying on the other mom to tell me what the schedule is, and all of that. That's very much us, and that's very much how we were as students. So it's a personality, right? There's like type A people who are super organized, and then there's people that are kind of all over the place. I think that's yet another thing that you don't consider before having kids. Like what you're going to be like as a parent.
And what kind of type of person you're going to marry.
I mean, that's a whole other thing.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally. That's a whole other thing.
Because you can never guess that. Like you can never be like, what kind of parent are you going to be? What kind of parent am I going to be?
And often you don't know what kind of a student your partner was if you didn't know them in school. Like I think that those people who like marry their high school sweethearts, although I think that's fucking nuts and it's amazing if it works out for you, but I think that there's a lot less surprises. Like if you think about Sean Desmond, our friend the singer, he's been with his wife since he's 14. So her behavior on a lot of things in life is probably not much of a surprise, and the way how he behaves is not a surprise to her because they grew up together.
They're one of the same.
Right.
As the one. They grew up together. They were raised together.
We didn't meet.
It's like marrying your brother or your sister. Whoa.
I know.
Or a cousin.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
No, I want to touch on that one topic. It's something separate, but let's not forget about the sibling thing. When we met our husbands, they were grown men. Let's see. We might not be there yet, but they were grown. They were on to their careers. We only knew them as professionals, not as kids.
Mine was a professional partier too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a different. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yours is different than he was, but you didn't 100% know what kind of you didn't see what kind of a student he was. Cause I feel like that.
I did. He took courses because we were both like in school.
Oh, you're both in school at the time.
Because,
I mean, like watching, like, in high school, those people.
He was like so angry he didn't get 100. He got 99.
Okay, so you knew he was a really good student.
Oh my God, I knew he was okay. You can't marry a professional athlete without knowing that they're psycho A-type.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that, but it makes sense to me. Like I'm like his class, like he can follow through. Even when he's hungover, like if he starts something, he finishes it. Like if he has an idea, he like does it. Like he'll clean out a cupboard and actually clean it out and then put it back.
Yeah,
I'll take it out,
and
then leave it.
I know.
He like has but that makes sense. That's his. Mm-hmm. That's someone. I feel like I had a different intel because it was black and white. Like he is black and white. There is like literally no like. If I get him to try to imagine, I don't think there's an imagination in there. I don't think he knows what gray is. It's like, I'm like, imagine. He's like, that's not real.
I know. I know. My husband doesn't play that game either. They're
terrible. Black and white.
We guys, we love to manifest. We like to imagine the future. We like to actually fantasize about the future. And what's crazy about our magic is often when Kat and I talk about something, it actually happens. And that's not magic. So don't think that things don't come with work. We always have to do like a sidebar there.
Are you surprised you're in a parenting crisis right now? Like, are you surprised?
I think it suits. I think that when it comes to school, it was always I never knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. But I thought that as a parent, if you put the right parameters in place, like you give them tutors, like you put them in a school that has extra resources that suit their style. I thought that, and I heard people say, like, it's not your school, it's not your homework, like make them independent learners, like they should know how to do it. I thought if I put all of those in place that I wouldn't have to be a part of the learning and the teaching. Turns out that's not the case. Like I think about like
I think
parents that are like they go to work, they drop their kids off at 7 a.m. to go to daycare, and then they pick them up at 6 o'clock at night. They feed them dinner. They give them a bath. Like, there's got to be a lot of parents who can't sit and do homework with their kids.
But they don't. But daycare doesn't last past grade 5, really. Right.
Okay, so then the kids are home alone doing their own homework, and like mom might get home at 7 at night.
I think the big, in my opinion, it's our job as parents, because I actually can't help them with their homework, is, well, when I can. I just chat GPT a lot of it. But I think it's to put the parameters in to teach them of how to manage their time at home so that they can do what they want to do. And then the natural consequences, if they don't, then they have to deal with it at school. So it's like not our job to sit with them to do it unless they need the help and the support. It's our job to be like, do you have homework? Do you know how you're going to do it? And do you know when you're going to do it? Rather than sit down, I'm going to do your homework with you. So I think it's like them coming to us, and, one I'm working with is like managing the homework so it's not a panic at the last minute when it's due. I think that, the crisis, the parenting crisis is like, just be thankful that there's nothing all consuming right now. Like, just be thankful there's something that you haven't missed in, like, everything you're dealing with right now is something that can be solved and focused on. And it's not none of these issues are they're overwhelming for you right now. But it's not like you just learned that, someone's getting finger banged in the bathroom every day at lunchtime and asking for money for it. And like, you have to go back to, and if you are getting finger banged in the bathroom, it's totally fine. I'm like, just like, there's not,
what I'm thinking about it too. And I'm like, you had the same experiences. I've never had an example of a parent sitting and doing work with any of my brothers or me. Like, nobody ever did any homework with me. So I don't even like, I hear people say they help their kids do homework.
This is what's really funny, because
I
said to Natalie yesterday,
in big trouble. She manifested this.
I did not.
I'm just kidding.
I actually had a moment yesterday. I was like, she's just never, because homework's a really a very stressful part of our life, like of my family life, and in last year was fucking terrible.
And when I would call her at night and I'd just be watching TV with my kids and she's like, I'm doing homework, I'm like, that makes me want to throw up. I'm so glad I don't do that.
Yeah. And like anxiety and stress, and like just really sad to see your kid like so overwhelmed with something. Okay. Because it got too late in the year. Like I was too late on the train to figure out, holy fuck, the ship is sinking and we're drowned.
Yeah. And his emergency behavior is what I saw last night in my daughter.
Okay, yeah. So and it's only September. Thank God, because they get so overwhelmed that they actually get into like a hyper arousal where they're like actually like reverberating. You're like, holy fuck, like they're living in reaction. Everything's a reaction.
I can't do it. I don't know how to do that. That's too hard. I'll never get that. It was a constant negative conversation.
I'm like on the floor crying, rolling around, like out of body, like just like you. Never.
Yeah.
So, last point
when
of that.
I used to hear people do homework, like I have some, and then I have, some friends who are like, like helping kids with doing their project, like knowing exactly when they have tests and asking how they did on those tests. Like, I always thought that you shouldn't have to do that. And listen,
you didn't.
But
you actually didn't do it.
I did need to, and I didn't do it.
Well, now you're living in the past.
No. I know. I'm just saying but I never, ever had anyone sit down with me and do any schoolwork in my whole life. So I don't know what that looks like, how much involvement that is. Like, you didn't either. Your parents never sat with you, right?
Fuck
but
no.
They did get you tutors, right?
Yeah, they did. But at that time, like, okay. So
did the tutor come to your house, or did you go somewhere?
I had to go. I had to go really far. Like I had to go. Like it was like
I went for 2 months of my life, And it was the literal only 2 months of my life that I felt confident in school. And it was 6th grade.
Yeah.
And it was to get into a school.
There was a whole bunch of fucking issues there that I like should like, listen, I like my
But your parents knew you needed help and you got tutors.
My parents didn't know what the fuck was wrong with any of us.
But they got you something.
They did. Yeah, they did. But it was terrible. Like, I have the wrong link for Common Parent in our stories, and they're all texting us being like, go fix it.
Go ahead. But like, I just, you know what, honestly, I kind of thought, not in your case, because I know your case too detailed. I thought that if parents were involved in helping their kids do project in school,
yeah,
that they weren't doing their kids. Like, I didn't think about this thoroughly, but when I think about it now, my mind was always like, those parents are so involved in their kids' schoolwork. Like,
I get that.
Not for you, because I know your situation, and I'm sure everyone has a situation, but in the top of my mind, I was like, those parents, like,
I think there's like the funny thing was I said to Natalie yesterday, I'm like, I think you'll never have homework. Like, I just think you will. I'm like, it's an anomaly to me. I'm like, I think you'll just like, I just don't think you're going to have it. Like, I just think you'll be fine. Like, I'm like, that's so crazy that for some reason your kids all don't have homework, but I'm like, that's genius. I thought it was maybe the schools I went to, and some of them did it.
Maybe you saying that opened my eyes too, because TJ said he always had homework, but he never did it, and I didn't make him do it because it was French. So I'm like, fuck it, you don't have to do homework. So he had homework, but he never did it, and I was fine with that. I don't think the other one did, and then the other one he does it on his own. So maybe I have two that are independent, but maybe with a little help they could do better.
What makes you feel, what made the alarm bell go off? Like, why?
The kid coming home in my house, sitting on my floor and on my bedroom floor, and basically being almost in tears with frustration, and me being like, oh my God, you remind me exactly of me. I just didn't ever express myself, and so I just carried on getting like 50s or failing.
Okay.
And it was so hard to watch that kid be like that to me, because I was like, that's how I felt. I just carried on, because during that time in my life too, there was so much going on that there wasn't really time for me, like that was the exact time when things got serious, when my mom had to go to work full time and I had to help take care of my brother. There was no space for me to be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And now I'm like, oh fuck, like, did I miss these years of teaching her how to learn? Anyways,
so it's one or all?
Like, it's one at a time right now.
Okay.
And I don't even know if I think about the other one who just does it all on his own. Like, would he be better off if he had a little parent support? Could he do even better?
So just something happened. So something just clicked in you yesterday. It was that's so weird.
But you said it, but it was her on my floor.
No, I'm just saying life is weird because my mom walked in, and I don't know, because
someone's calling.
No, just keeps going to voicemail.
Okay.
What was I going to say? That she has to clean out she inherited the estate, like didn't inherit. She was a power of attorney, has to take all the things and sort through them all. Mm-hmm. In the process, she's going through like all of her old things, and then she comes across all 3 of our testing. Mm-hmm. My brother is in me. And then I'm like, she was like, I didn't want to just drop it on you. And by the way, I've never seen this. Mm-hmm. I don't know it. I don't know I don't know it, which is fucked up in itself, because I that's probably where a lot of my issues stem from, where I say to people, like, feel like my job as a parent is to give each kid a roadmap of who they are, how they learn inside, how they learn on their brain, and like a mirror, like, this is the best I can give you. This is how I know you work as a parent. This is what I've seen. I hope, like, try to like, this is here you go. And I think I felt so lost, and my mom's like, I think she was like, I feel so badly because I know why you didn't do well, but none of us really took she's like, it was right there. She was like, literally, like, she was almost in tears. She's like, I don't know why this didn't sink in for me.
I think she didn't have time.
Probably.
That was
and
for
she's
sure
like,
for me.
I just sit here and I'm just Like, but there was a document and they're like, it will get hard. So basically I can't take thoughts and put them down. Right. It's fucking same as this kid, like audio processing, all this shit. And she's like, I guess they didn't they didn't know.
But that was such a big job. So let's think about what you know with your child and how much work and investigation that takes.
Just would have been helpful for them to be like, you know what, you do struggle in school. So this is normal, rather than you being like, you're failing, work harder.
Well, you knew you had challenges and you got the IEP and you got tutors.
I never had an IEP.
Or you were allowed to get extra time or whatever.
No.
I thought you got to go into the room.
When I was little, I went to a room. That was it.
Okay.
To grade 6. And then everything stopped.
I think that parents back then, if you were even if you were lucky enough to get tested, parents were like, give them a tutor and
fix it.
Fix it. Like there wasn't, I don't remember any of my friends, and even my friends who didn't do well like me, none of them, their parents were like, involved. I never remember my mom talking to her friends who were my friends' moms about school or learning challenges. It was just, there was other things they were worried about, and that wasn't one of them.
Yeah. No, I guess. I think she just said, it said that you would work so hard and the output doesn't match the input. And she's like, that was there. And she's like, but we never really, I remember my dad used to try to bribe me to get better grades with money. And I'd be like, I wanted that money so bad, but obviously I could never get it. So like shit like that, where the reinforcement of not like them thinking, just work harder. And I think that's what we all have to be really careful as parents, that like working harder doesn't mean better. Like work smarter to get what you need to learn. Like, I don't care about your grade level. Do you know though how to take that problem, extract it, solve it to the best of your ability, rather than the perfect answer? Because us don't know if some of my kids are ever going to get straight fours, and that's fucking fine. But do you know how to look at instructions and figure out what to do? That's all I care about right now.
And as far as working harder, it's like last night she was trying to do something and she goes, if I sit here for 2 more hours and I work at it, will it come to me? And I'm like, no.
And that was my problem last year. That was what was so hard, is what was taking people 20 minutes was taking him hours. And I'm like, why? What I try to say now, like, what do you want him to learn? Like, what's the purpose of this? Is it like executive functioning? Is it like, or is it just bullshit work, like a spelling test to figure out, like, to spell a stupid word he's never going to know how to spell anyways? Well, like, give me the point so I can teach him the lesson, rather than making him feel bad about not getting the point. And I think that as parents, that's fucking time consuming. But when you see your child like taking it personally, it's like we have to reteach them what's important and apply it to life, rather than a geography grade that is not ever going to fucking, like, you don't want to kill their spirit in the process of school.
Yeah,
because of something.
And you know, we were talking about how there's some classes that you can apply to life. And how come I have to take these things? I'm never going to like learn about World War, whatever. And I'm like, because in school, there are only so many options and so many classes, and someone is going to take that history class and really take an interest in it. And then they're going to say, that's something I want to pursue. But we can't customize all these classes. So you have to go through these classes to see what you do and do not like. And that, you know, sucks in the beginning, but
it's also life.
Then you get to choose what area you're interested in.
And the biggest thing is that, like, if they're capable holding, I was like, it's always a fucking push-pull. Like, it's like, push them to the point of not breaking them, but push them so they grow, but not supporting them so much that then they get comfortable in the support, because then they think that that's how it goes. So you're always like, how can you actually do that? Like, how far do I push you? I'm kind of dealing with that with Olivia's head right now. I'm like, I've pushed her before. And then they're like, no, actually, it's like, well, when she first came home and she's like, I have a headache. I'm like, let's go. Let's go get walking, get moving. And then I'm like, oh, you actually do have a problem. But like, it's like this
so hard
balance of like cocoon and then like fly, cocoon,
and
fly.
Unfortunately, no two people are the same.
No.
Just like I said to TJ, he's very curious, or does anybody have the same fingerprint? I said no, just like everyone. Now I get to use that example with him all the time. But you know, the other thing that you can take for granted sometimes is if you have multiple kids or your friends' kids are just flying. It just comes naturally, and they don't need your help, and they don't need extra help, and they're just able to, get by like I would say the majority, let's say, it may not be true, but what it seems like the majority, then just because they're flying through and it's easy
now.
It does. And for now, it doesn't mean it is for you. And if you have one kid that's like that, doesn't mean your other kid's going to be like that. And I think that's another thing that I kind of thought that, when it was hardest for the younger one to read, I thought, well, you were all in the same situation. 3 of you figured it out. Why didn't that one figure it out? You just kind of then you get like shot, you get surprised and you're like, oh, well, that was unexpected. And that's just going to be with everything with kids, with peer pressure, with like experimentation. Some people are going to be tempted. Some people are not.
God. And the way they handle the situations, like the way they like, one is like, I don't want to go to a party because I don't want to get wasted like everyone else. And then the another one's going to be like, I can't wait to go to a party and get wasted. And we're going to think that all of them are going to be like the first, you know what I mean? Like, we're always going to be, unpleasantly surprised. And then sometimes outrageously positively surprised by something that you didn't even know that they might be interested in. Or I would say my oldest constantly surprises me in school. Always surprises me in school for now. And I'm just always like,
how'd you get like this?
Literally, I'm like this. Why?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't and then I thought to myself, I bet you want to do so well in school because it's not important to me. And you're like, fuck you, watch, because it's important to me.
Yeah.
Like, she wants it to be, she wants to not be me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do well in school.
That's like my son.
Yeah, so I'm not like you. Yeah. I am nothing
You
like
are a wild, crazy person. You didn't do well in school.
Watch me.
You're not organized. I don't want to be like you.
I really do feel like she's like that.
I know.
Because I'm like.
I think mine is too.
Because I'm like, why would you want to do that? And she's like, it's important to me. Got it.
And she's like, AKA, it's important in the fucking world. You don't know anything about it.
I've come to learn that you have to honor their importance. Yeah. Because even if I'm like, get a life. It's like, but, I'll show you what she sent me.
What?
Like, she'll send me TikToks behind every straight 8 student. And then it's like notes, like, she'll like send me like things in it. Because I'm just like, breathe. And she's like, but you don't understand. And I get it. But that is someone who I didn't teach that. Yeah. That is someone who
innate
and started very like she went to the right school at the right time and supported that is important.
The person she wanted to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's curious.
It would also be curious to see a person like that who, what happens to a person like that when they're not able,
or get some tequila in them.
Well, there's that too, but also like, didn't get put in a school that was like, does that kind of a person still fight through? Like when I see like some of the kids at that have just gone to this school, and I see these kids and they're very much like that. And they're just, I feel like no matter where they go, they will figure out how to be that person.
I mean, yeah. And I do think that social media, and we said this in the last podcast, but I feel like social media has curated identities in students in sports. Like she's like, I think I like tennis. I like the look. And I'm like, that is so, it's like it's an aesthetic.
Yeah,
like, so
she's preppy. She's this, she's that, putting people into boxes because on social media, you don't get to know those personalities inside and out. You just see
it. So she's like, I see the way they do their notes. Like she likes the look of what that looks like.
She'd probably like horseback riding.
Probably. Although she's like, horseback kids are weird.
Everyone says people with horses are weird.
I know. I'm like, what? She's like, but do you know anyone with horses? She's like, it's just a thing. It's probably TikTok. TikTok probably tells you
before TikTok, there was this girl that once said, she's like, oh, she rides horses. Horse people are weird. I'm like, I know. Wow. I mean, you did get kicked in the head by a horse, so you should feel that way. No, guys, if your kids ride horses, I'm sure that's fine.
No, it's just funny that was.
Yeah,
but again,
people are weird.
Social media, they have aesthetics, and I'm like, I can't believe being a student. This kind of student's an aesthetic. I'm like, I guess, like if that's what that's what floats your fucking boat.
Well, it's also like a rich aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
She wants to go to be a preppy. She wants to go to preppy school in prep school in fucking America.
Yeah,
that's so weird too.
It's so funny because
she wanted to go to that private school since she was like in grade 2.
So when I was younger, I said the exact same thing about where she wants to go to college. I said it when I was at the private school. That's where I want to go. When I grew up, a part of me thought that be one of those moms in a tennis outfit and play tennis. You know, I would be a stay-at-home mom.
Oh no, she wants to be. Mark's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because he does this thing with the things.
Yeah.
A billionaire.
Yes.
Then she goes, how do you spell that? And I go,
yeah. But like I had those same like visions,
Ideas.
you know, I wanted to,
You
yeah.
don't even have TikTok. So, I mean, there you go.
Exactly.
You just had your neighborhood.
I saw this TikTok or reel that said that your sibling relationships are the most.
I saw that too.
Okay, so I had to think about it. I sent it to my kids though, just to put some pressure on them, but I really had to think about it. Was that your sibling relationships are the most important relationship that you have. You grow up with them, and you spend less time with your spouse growing up, and you spend less time with your
Wait, so your spouse? I hope you spend less time with your spouse than growing up.
No, like
with them, with you do with your siblings. Like you spend more time with your siblings.
More time becoming who you are beside your siblings, so that when your spouse gets you, they're still less important to the person you are because it was the kids, the people you grew up with. So I thought about that, and you know, I always like to tell our kids, like, always look at your siblings as someone who is like, quote unquote, they're unconditionally, they're not your friend, they're not part of your social circle, although social media really starts to intertwine that even more. They're your team, they're your blood, they're like your family, right? But in reality, a lot of people aren't that close with their siblings, and their sibling relationship is not that important.
And actually tumultuous. Like really tumultuous.
And because they can have the parents' influence, it can be very competitive. And it can be very unhealthy.
Yes.
So, although it's nice to think that
most are, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, because someone's like, I saw this one where they were like, this thing where it's like, you come from the same environment, the same parents. Why are you all so different? We're different as parents. We did not like. How we parented 1 versus 4 or 3 is we're not the same people. The environment they grow up in is not the same. Like having a whole bunch of siblings in front of you versus having no one and just you. That's different. Like as we get older, like the house we live in, the schools I go to, that is all different. Every single one of our children's had a different experience, and to think they've all had the same is crazy. And the pressure on each kid, the way they feel. And then, you know, number 1 is watching number 4, they're watching each other. Number 3 and 4 have no idea. That's just their reality. They've never had anything different. 1, 2, 3, they've all had something different. And I think it's a really huge thing to say that they all came from the same environment. No, they didn't.
I would say that change the words of that. The friends that you surround yourself with growing up are way bigger of an impact and a bond and part of your growth than other people, because they're the ones you have chosen to spend most of the hours of the day with.
It's really, yes. And one of my daughter's friends has me and her as a screensaver, like the friend and me as her screensaver. And her mom's like, what the fuck is that? What, like, where am I? But I know that I think that also where they go and spend time is who they are as people in that house. Like when Taylor comes here, I probably get a different version of her than you get, and vice versa, right? Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's like this. I think that matters too. Is where do they have their core memories, and who do they make those core memories with? Because often, if you grow up in a really tumultuous house, you might not have the best memories, and like that might not have felt good to go back and spend family time with your siblings, because that was a shitty time for both of you.
A lot of people say that. They go, I'm going home for Christmas. It's gonna
my
be
turn.
Stressful.
It's my family's turn.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy being in the house with my siblings.
And I actually know very few who are super close. Like I know less who are super close, and I know I know more who are estranged than I do who are super close.
And I think there's also like a level of like location. Like, you know, we are we live in the same city as our siblings. You know, a lot of people don't even live in the same country.
A lot of people live in the same city and don't even see each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, because then the parents have issues. Like, it is such a complicated, families are complicated.
It's a nice idea to think that your siblings will always be there for you and that they don't have any stake in the game.
But sometimes your siblings are bullies to you, and they're your biggest bully, and like they made your life hell. And it's not like they, or sometimes someone in the family has an issue and they monopolize the whole family, and you're like, they always have I don't know.
And you can be bitter towards them because at the end of the day, there's these two people that are your parents.
Yep.
And the relationship, or there can be four, or there can be one, the relationship that parent has with each sibling affects the other sibling as well, because they're observing how they're differently being treated. And sometimes you can take it and just say, that's the way it is. And sometimes you can be like, I'm really fucking bitter about that.
Yeah. Well, there's one in my family who thinks I spend 0 time with her, and it's a little one. I'm like, are you psycho? She's like, you're always doing something with them. And I'm like, you get so much of me, but in her head, it's never enough, which is also age appropriate, but I often say to the older ones, I'm like, there's nothing worse than coming home and having a sibling be mean to you for no reason.
On top of everything you've had to deal with in the day in a less safe environment.
And you shouldn't have to come home and have your sibling call you like an idiot. Like, I'm like, that's not what we strive for here.
Oh my God, but that's what they all do.
No, I know. I just think it's really unfair when I'm like, I look at the age discrepancy and I'm like, when you're 20, because the little one holds her own, like something fierce, but it doesn't mean she's emotionally capable to process that maybe like
they didn't mean that. They were taking out their frustration for something else that happened during the day on you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And she's an easy target because
she's little.
Yeah. So I think that, if you're trying to foster something within your house of like being close, don't take it personally, because they're all their own unique people and like they'll shake out where they shake out. And I think if you make your home a place they want to come back to, then they will ultimately have a good relationship with you and each other. It's when they have a choice. I mean, we say this this is like the biggest thing in the Common Parent, why we started it, because if you're fighting with your teenager, those are your last years with them. And then they, at basically 18, when they go to university, have a choice to be like, see you later, or be like, I want to come home. And then they might not come home. So I'm always like, I want to make a place where they want to come home and not feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I'm not wanted here. Like, I hate having to feel like I have to ask permission to, you know what I mean? Like,
and I feel like I've heard so many people talk about like their upbringing and everything. And a lot of people say like about their fathers, that like, my dad was there. I remember him being there. But like, it was my mom that I like turned to for all this stuff. And I think that if we're also listening to this, it's like, if a dad wants to create, and then there's some kids that are just like daddy's little girl, and they do everything together, and they go on trips together, and they play sports together, and they do all of that. And I think, I think when we're talking about teenagehood too, I'm like, always think about the last few interactions that you've had with your teenager. Were they ever just like a positive shoot the shit conversation? Or was it always just getting mad? And I said to my husband, you're going to have to, like, although it's really frustrating, teenagers, but have a little empathy. And I know you don't know what it's like to be a teenage girl, but have a little empathy for what that might be like. And I can help explain, and don't make all your interactions mad ones, because when it's time to come home, the first thing they're going to do when they open the door is they're going to be like, is it coming for me?
I know, because that's a habit they know. That is a habit they know. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble for something, rather than I didn't put my shoes away, rather than like, how are you?
Yeah. What am I in trouble for now? They're like, And I have a dream that, it's not essential that my kids will be close and turn to each other, or at least like have their families be close, because there's always the second generation. It's really, really cool having cousins, that our kids, your kids and my kids, be able to stay, because they really are more of a family. Like, even, TJ's like Chloe's my best friend, and the kids were making fun that he might like her, and it's like a cousin. Like they haven't grown up closer to any other kids in their whole life, like since they were born. And so they have them, and then because those are people that will never go.
For like, I think that, you rotate, right? Like the sibling, often it's like 2 are really close, and then the other 2 need, like, it's like you're like a triangle or like this, and it's always rotating. Like, this one needs like it, like goes like this and then like this and then like that. Like it all rotates and shifts. Very rarely are all as a whole unit like one. It kind of goes like right like that. And I think that I mean, I have twin brothers. That's fucked up because they're close in a way that like I'll never know because they definitely have a bond. But then they come to me for different things that they don't go to each other for. Yeah. So it's like I know where I fit in the rotation, which is fine. Like I have a great relationship with both of them, but I know when they're coming and when they're landing on me, and then like what they're looking for, and I'm like, okay, got it. Yeah. And then I'm like, because they have a competition they're not even aware about. Yeah. Like it's like like they don't even know that they have been in. They're so close, but they've also always watched each other side by side. And when I tell you, they got engaged within weeks of each other. They had their first babies with it. Like, did they buy houses at the same time? Everything. I remember all that happening. It was just like, I'm like, you guys are so twins. You don't even know that you're twins because they never really identified as twins. It must be so weird to be the wives of twins. Well, twins should marry twins, and they're not fraternal. I mean, they're not identical. Yeah, they're different grades, different. Like they do have kind of a different identity. Yeah, and they don't. But although he did buy a house up near him, and you know what I mean? Like he did go up there. Yeah. And if you know, like I was just saying to Kat, like sometimes it's nice to have alternative siblings too, and sometimes it comes in a form of best friends, kids. God, for me, my core memories, my everything is with my mom's sister's kids, so my cousins, and it's so crazy how tight it is. It's like even when my brother has the same thing, it's like getting together with them is like something totally different. And it came, it was just our whole lives. And it's just so nice having those people. It's funny because the one who always is like the orbit in the family amongst our 7 kids, when he was here that weekend a lot, he was like, I like, that was nice. He texted me, he said, that was a nice night. That was a nice weekend. Do you remember that? Which is interesting because that he was the one who always used to want to leave. And then it was like when he came back to it, he was like, oh, I do like it. It must have been like he must have had been like, I remember this. Because like it's not often we're all together and the dads. And he must have had the moment of like, I like that. Nostalgia. Yeah. Yeah. Because he was like, that fact that he said it twice and he never asked to leave. And he's usually home by 10. He went past his bedtime. I didn't. Because like, he might good night. You know, for all the times that there was, you know, all these things, it's like you might look back and say like, I'm so lucky to be a part of this. Yeah, I don't. We all are. I don't even know if he would have. I know. It was just a feeling. It was a feeling, and that was so interesting to me because we haven't done it in a long time. So I feel like he was like, huh, you know, it was an interesting because. They all are so lucky that they have that, you know. Yes, you're welcome. They do have that. If you don't know what we're talking about, we have 7 kids, and they all have their little world that they go spend time in. Guys, listen, you can go listen to these podcasts ad free somewhere. I don't know, and everyone wants a heart necklace. I don't know where to send them. I do, and it was today or tomorrow that we were going to do it. I'm waiting for one address, and let's do it tomorrow, okay? Okay, and then the hoodies too. They're like, where's that pink? Because I was wearing the punk hoodie. I was like, where's the punk? You can like that now. Just tell me where. It's available, yes. And we can highlight it, by the way. Yes, and then we are secret, really exciting. We're going to be coming out with some capsule collections of some other designs that are so cool. We're waiting for samples right now. Yep. When you guys see them, you're going to be like, well, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen. I want a piece of that. So we're working on that now. That's cool. I'm off to the eye doctor for kids who see. Chloe sees. Oh, I lose my place when I'm reading. I can't find my place when I'm reading. Me neither. You can't either. I can't read. No, when you read, do you lose your place? Of course. You have fucking tracking issues, babe. Yeah, but I also lose my place because I get distracted. Maybe that's the problem. Absolutely. It's very hard for my eyes to read, to follow. Oh, and one last thing. Max wears. Have you seen his glasses for hockey? No. Let's go up and see them. He calls himself a duster. Duster. The fuck is a duster? I don't know, but that's new words these kids say. But he's like, he goes like, I'm such a duster with these things on. I'm like, it's not good. He's like, everyone's gonna call me a duster. Wait, but he will find a way to make it cool, to make it hilarious and cool. So he wore them yesterday, and he's like, you know, he's like the dusters. I'm not sure what. I'm gonna have to ask him what a duster is. Okay, let's ask him now. Do we have a couple minutes? They're black and thick. And Mark's God. Mark goes, you couldn't give him like a chance to like wear clear ones. And I'm like, do you want clear ones? He's like, I like the black ones. Okay, let's go have a look. Okay, bye, y'all.